Welcome to our interview as the Media Freedom Rapid Response, which monitors press and media freedom violations in the European Union member states and candidate countries. We have just published our latest monitoring report, which focuses on the first 6 months of 2024. During this period, we have reported 756 alerts that impacted 1,212 media-related people or outlets. 474 of these alerts took place in 28 EU member states, while 282 alerts were in eight candidate countries. A deeply concerning trend was the presence of 100 physical attacks on journalists, which led to 47 cases of injuries. However, efforts to block journalistic work was also a significant type of violation, with 117 reported cases in the same period. Almost a quarter of all violations took place online, which is also a growing trend, also in relation to the topic of our interview today, spoofing. In this report, we have focused on the developments in 6 EU member states and 4 candidate countries, as well as thematic topics such as anti-media laws, elections, and spoofing as per the interview topic today. To talk about spoofing, we are joined by Amaury Lesplingart, co-founder and chief technology officer at CheckFirst, a Finnish software and methodologies company that combats disinformation and aspires to present how and why audiences are being subjected to certain types of content, advocating for online clarity and accountability. And our second guest is the European Broadcasting Union's Thomas Bergmann, a senior EU advocacy advisor whose work focuses on media freedom, content regulation, and the relationship between media and big tech. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Amaury, I would like to ask you the first question. You have been investigating cases of spoofing. What have you come across and what kind of trends have you noticed so far?
First, maybe we have to define what is spoofing. Spoofing is when an organization tries to identify as another organization. So let's say I want to visit the website of BBC, I would go to bbc.co.uk. But there is not only .co.uk domain. You can have, for example, .be, .fr, .xyz, for example, also. If I go on bbc.xyz and the website looks like the BBC, this is the case of spoofing using the image of the BBC while actually being another organization. We have seen that in one big disinformation trend, the Operation Doppelganger, where thousands of news media organization websites have been cloned by Russian operatives in order to spread false narrative. But it's not only on domain name. We have CheckFirst have investigate on the Facebook hustle operation, where the image of media was used to trick people into financial scams. So basically, spoofing the image of media is a real trend. It goes through domain name, it goes through visual, it also goes through the impersonation of their image through videos or to fake screenshot of their website. So there is a huge trend about utilizing the image that the media have built, the trust that they have built in order to spread disinformation, scam, and other type of content.
And do you notice a trend in terms of this impersonation? And how does this impact society? And what other potential repercussions of this action might be?
Well, the first repercussion is that it basically erodes the trust that media organizations have built with their public. When I see a video from BBC stating that there is Nazi in Ukraine, my trust over BBC can be a bit eroded. I'm like, why? Why is BBC stating that? Well, actually, the video has been built by Russian operative in order to basically use the trust that I had into BBC to spread this message. So there is a huge risk that the media, how to say that, the media image will be impacted by this kind of operation. That goes for disinformation, but also for scam. When, for example, on the Facebook hustle operation, when people were clicking on advertisement, they would arrive on a website that looks like their news organization website. But the content was telling them that, oh, there is this big scam that the bank are actually hiding for you. You can make more money. So basically, they would use the trust of the media to push people into going into a scam where there will be huge financial loss. And here you have this basically balance where the trust that the media is building is used against them in this kind of operation.
And in previous years, we have seen regarding the spread of disinformation and fake news that election results might be impacted. Could this also be used as a means of political manipulation?
Of course, and it's already been used in many countries as for political manipulation. The entire doppelganger operation is basically political manipulation, where the goal of the operation is to erode the trust of the Western population to support Ukraine, or it can be also, for example, for the Olympic Games, where we have seen a huge operation against the Olympic Games in Paris, with many use of media image in different type of media, such as video, fake TikTok video, fake Instagram stories, etc., in order to basically erode the trust of the population on the Olympic game. Now, at the day of today, we can see a switch using the exact same technique. The switch is now basically they are focusing on the US election, and they are using the exact same technique where they are spoofing the image of CNN and all the major US outlets.
Thank you, Amaury. And if we turn to the European Broadcasting Union and what the public service media has been experiencing, Thomas, may I ask you what the experience of public service media has been regarding spoofing attacks, and how serious is this situation in your perspective?
Yeah, for public service media, spoofing, or what we call it, celebrity scams, have become really an enormous challenge. Of course, the misuse of brands and logos or images of public service media is nothing new. It has already been done in the past. But the quantity that we currently see online is very, very alarming, very concerning for our members. Just to give you an example, a very well-known and reputable investigative journalist from France Télévisions, Élise Lucet, she or her image was misused in more than 1,000 of these celebrity scams since November 2023. Just imagine how stressful this situation must be when you, as a journalist, see that over 1,000 of these advertisements that misuse your image and your name and your reputation to sell a fraudulent product or fraudulent service to citizens. It is horrible. And I think all our members are affected, some maybe less, some maybe more. But the problem is there, and there needs to be certain solutions, hopefully soon.
You mentioned that there has been an increase in recent periods, but what do you think is the cause of this recent increase?
Well, I think with the development of AI technologies, it has become easier for fraudsters to create such content and to create even more convincing illegal and deceptive advertisements. Nowadays, I mean, you can just, with one image of a journalist, create an entire video that looks like reality, but it isn't. So I think the rise of AI technologies has definitely contributed also to the increase of these spoofing cases or celebrity scams.
One cannot help but wonder what can be done in this regard. But first and foremost, I would like to ask if the media outlets that you are also in contact with, the ones that are getting targeted with the spoofing attacks, do they get in touch with these digital platforms, whether it is social media platforms or the generative AI platforms? And what experiences do they have if they get in touch with these platforms?
Yeah, all our members have contacts to the social networks like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. As I said, some have better contacts, some have others. On this particular issue, I think one could describe the relationship by saying their relationship status is complicated. So our members try to reach out to the platforms. They try to raise awareness. They also notify the content that they find, so the spoofing cases that they find. But the reaction by the platforms is not always very positive. Sometimes they simply ignore it. In other cases, they say that in their point of view, the content that is notified is not illegal, it is not infringing the terms and conditions, so the content remains online. Just to give you an example, our Danish members, they were so frustrated with the situation that they created, together with other news outlets from Denmark, an open letter and a video campaign to call out Facebook's inaction against the rising quantity of spoofing cases in Denmark. And I'm actually not sure whether this has changed much in the way the platforms react to notifications by public service media.
I sincerely hope that there will be more awareness regarding the topic of spoofing, and we will see more clarity and acknowledgement from the side of the platforms as well. But as a final question to both of you, I would like to ask, what do you see as a way forward in terms of combating spoofing and spreading of disinformation through impersonation of the media? And what expectations do you have regarding the platforms, the regulators, and policymakers? Amaury, perhaps if you'd like to take the first.
Oh, yes, I mean, we have high expectation from everybody to basically do their role. Platforms have policy that they have to enforce. They have their own term of service that most of the time doesn't allow this type of activity. So it's up to the platform to enforce the term of service. It's up to the policymakers to make sure that the DSA is enforced. Due to the DSA, platforms are entitled to enforce their own term of service. It's up to the policymakers to make sure that this part of the DSA is actually enforced. And on the civil society part, I think civil society is already doing a lot by reporting all the case to the European Commission, to the platforms, to the different stakeholders. I think the best would be to continue to monitor this type of activity, but also for that the civil society needs support and financial support also from the different actors. So it's basically everybody have to do their job first and try to do it well, and then we will see if the situation needs to be reassessed. But for now, there is all the tools that are needed. It's just a matter of using the right tools at the right moment and having the right stakeholder tool together.
Thank you so much, Amaury. And Thomas? Yeah, I very much agree with what Amaury just said. In my opinion, there are three layers or three dimensions. First of all, I think media companies have to raise awareness among their audiences. They need to alert them that there are these spoofing cases or celebrity scams out there. They may need to inform them as well how citizens can protect themselves from these spoofing cases, how they can verify whether a content really comes from a trusted media outlet or not. Amaury mentioned in the very beginning the URL. This is, I think, one very good element that they should take into consideration. Second, there are the platforms, and the platforms need to take action against this kind of content. And Amaury just mentioned the Digital Services Act, the DSA, and under this EU regulation, the platforms have a duty to act against illegal content. And these spoofing cases can or must be considered illegal because they infringe copyrights, they infringe trademarks, they infringe personal rights, consumer protection legislation. So there is a case for the platforms to act. And lastly, I think it's for the regulators and the policymakers to hold the platforms accountable if they do not comply with the obligations that the legislator has put in place. And they need to find the platforms if there is a case of non-compliance. And if they see that the platforms do not act properly, maybe there's also a need to come up with stricter or more detailed legislation and laws. So yeah, all in all, I think everybody has to play its role, as Amaury said, and only that way we can move forward.
Thank you so much for your answers, both of you. And I hope that also in the future, we will see a multi-stakeholder approach to find a resolution regarding the cases of spoofing. And for more information and to see the cases from the first half year of 2024 in our monitoring report, please have a look at mfrr.eu. In the monitoring section, you may find our report. And today we were joined by Amaury Lesplingart from Check First and Thomas Bergmann from the European Broadcasting Union. I have been hosting today's interview in the name of ECPMF. My name is Gürkan Özturan and I'm a monitoring officer at ECPMF. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Amaury, and thank you, Thomas.